Hi everybody, welcome to Unit 4, Video 4. If you don't have your Unit 4 notes out, please get them out now. All right, so this first problem here is just a reminder on how to add and subtract fractions. Remember, in order to add or subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So looking between 2, 6, and 3, the common denominator would be 6. So in order to get this first fraction to have the common denominator, you'd have to multiply the top and the bottom by 3. So that would give us 3/6 plus 1/6 minus, on this one, we'd have to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So plus 2/6, minus 2/6. So then we can just do the computation straight across. So 3 plus 1 is 4, minus 2 would give us 2/6. But then remember, you always want to make sure it's fully simplified. So I can simplify this into 1/3. All right, for number 2 here, again, we need a common denominator. So between 6k and 3k, the common denominator would be 6k. So I need to multiply the left-hand side, the top and bottom, by 2. So the first fraction I'm going to keep the same. Then I'm going to multiply this, so I have 8 over 6k. And then now that they have the common denominator, I can just do the computation straight across in the numerator. So 5 minus 8 gives me a negative 3 over 6k. And then again, I want to make sure it's fully reduced. Negative 3 and 6 can reduce to negative 1 over 2k. So this is my fully simplified answer. Okay, so now we get into adding fractions that are have expressions here. So remember, an expression has this invisible implied set of parentheses, okay? But remember, you still need to find a common denominator. So this a squared and 2a, so the lowest monomial they can multiply to is 2a squared. So on the left-hand side, I'd have to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. But remember, since this one here is an expression and it's bounded by these parentheses, the 2 has to get distributed to both. So I have 2a minus 2 plus, on this right-hand side, I'd have to multiply the top and the bottom by a in order to get that common denominator of 2a squared. So when I distribute here, I get a squared plus a. So then now that I've done that, I can go ahead and add like terms on the numerator. So a squared, there's no other a squared, so I'm just going to bring that over. 2a plus a is going to add to 3a. And then negative 2 is by itself, so minus 2 over 2a squared. Remember this trinomial, again, it's in an invisible set of parentheses, so you don't want to simplify it with what's in the denominator. It's a trinomial, so you leave it alone. If this trinomial were factorable, then you would factor it, but this one isn't. There aren't any factors of negative 2 that add to 3, so you're going to leave it alone. All right, for our next one here, our denominator of b minus a and a minus b. So right now they look similar, but they're not, but we can make them be the same. And so the way I can do that is right here I have a positive b and a negative a, and this one I have a positive a and a negative b. So in this first denominator, if I factor out a negative 1, so if I divide this by a negative 1 and switch the order, it turns into a positive a and a negative b, which is what I have over here. So when I do that, and the first fraction I get a over negative 1 parentheses a minus b plus here. So now the part of the denominator that it needs is the negative 1. So I can multiply negative 1 to the top and to the bottom. So this gives me negative b over negative 1 times a minus b. And so now that I have that, I can go ahead and do my computation on the top. So I get a plus negative b, which is a minus b, over negative 1 times a minus b. Well, remember, the expression in the numerator is also in a parentheses. So now that I have the expression a minus b on the top and the bottom, these two can both be reduced. Remember, there's always an implied 1 in the numerator. So you have 1 divided by negative 1, which would just simplify to negative 1. Okay, so I want you to try to do number 5. Remember, you have to factor out, if possible, then identify the common denominator. So go ahead and pause the video and try number 5. Okay, so when we factored out the denominator in the first fraction, it was x parentheses x minus 1. And then the second one was the difference of squares. So you had x minus 1, x plus 1. So then when we looked for the common denominator, it's x parentheses x minus 1, x plus 1. So when I distributed and combined like terms on the numerator, I was left with 6x plus 5 over x parentheses x minus 1, x plus 1. Okay, so for number 6, again, I want you to try number 6. So go ahead and pause the video and try number 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at number 6. So with number 6, you had to be careful with this negative sign in the middle. Remember this numerator, x squared plus a squared, it's an expression, so it's bounded by these parentheses. So you have to distribute that negative to both of them. So then when you distribute the negative and add straight across in the numerator, here the x and the negative x squared canceled, and then you have ax minus a squared. Now remember, you always want to make sure it's fully factored or factored completely. So here, they both have a GCF of an a in the numerator. So you wanted to factor out that a, you're left with x minus a. And so then since you have the quantity x minus a in the numerator and in the denominator, those two can cancel out. So your final answer is a over x plus a. Okay, so when you have something like number 7, what you want to do is you want to look and see if they have common denominators so that you can regroup it. And so this first term here and this third term here both have the common denominator. Same thing with a plus b and a plus b. So I'm going to move them over. I'm going to reorder this. So I have a plus b over a minus b plus, and then I'm going to put this one with the common denominator next to it, b minus a over a minus b. And then I'm going to put the ones with the denominator of a plus b together. So plus, so I have plus a minus b over a plus b plus b minus a over a plus b. Okay, so now that I've have those together, I can group the first two together and group the second two together. So I can simplify the first parentheses, simplify the second one, and then add them together. So in the first parentheses, I have a minus a. So those two are going to cancel out, a minus a. So I have b plus b, which is going to give me 2b over my denominator of a minus b. I'm going to bring down this plus sign here. Here I have a minus a and negative b plus b. So all of that cancels. So I'm left with 0 over a plus b. Well, now this first one I'm going to leave as 2b over a minus b. Here, the second one, 0 over a plus b. Well, if 0 is in the numerator, that means it would just simplify to 0. So then I have 2b over a minus b plus 0. So it leaves me with 2b over a minus b. So that is your final answer. So if possible, you'll want to try to regroup. Okay, so go ahead and I want you to do number 8. It's very similar to number 6. So pause the video and try number 8, and then we'll check and see what you got. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how you did with number 8. Again, with 8, you had to be careful with this negative in the middle. So once you found the common denominator, which was x plus a, x minus a, and you distributed, here's what you got in the numerator. And then when you combine like terms, you're left with 2ax minus 2a squared. Now, remember, you always want to make sure it's fully factored. So here you could factor out a GCF of 2a. So when you did that, you were left with 2a parentheses x minus a. In the denominator, you had x plus a times x minus a. So these two, x minus a in the numerator and the denominator, could cancel out. So your final answer you're left with is 2a over x plus a. All right, so thank you for watching the video.